Okay, good evening and welcome to Mindful Conversations. I am Dr. Lori Monaco with Align Yourself Inc. I am a life coach specializing in transformation and mindfulness practice. I almost forgot what I did for a second. I'm a speaker, hopefully an author soon, and blogger. And I am also the Badass Buddha. And Mindful Conversations is my way of giving back to the community I get a chance to interview the best of the interesting people that are phenomenal, women, men, either gender is fine, but it's about conversations on balance, life balance, mindfulness practice, self-care, and your stories. So for tonight, my very special guest is Anisa Singh. She is this gorgeous, talented woman, very strong woman, and I'm going to read her bio because it is absolutely fabulous, and I have known her for almost a year now. I've known her, and I feel very proud to know her. She's an amazing lady. So Anisa is an award-winning international recording artist, songwriter, businesswoman, philanthropist, wife, and mother. She has been the lead singer of the Supertones band, USA's most toured international chutney soca band since 1999, where she was known as Princess Anisa, and she's still known that way. And even for me, she's Princess Anisa. She also performs as a frontline singer with her pop band Latitude 28. Anisa is best known for her hit single, Tek Sunita. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, it is. Tek Sunita.
Winner of the 2011 West Indian Music Awards Video of the Year. She was named Female Performer of the Year for the same awards 2 years later and was also a finalist in the 18th annual Deland, is that correct? Original Music
Deland.
For Most Unique Sound and Song of the Year for her latest single, Warrior. Anisa's music has taken her around the world to perform in front of thousands of enthusiastic fans, including Europe, North and South America, and the Caribbean, mastering performance in musical genres ranging from pop, dance, and rock to freestyle, soca, and reggae, has enabled her to collaborate with the top bands and artists in the Caribbean music industry. She crossed into mainstream pop with her release of the single Warrior in 2018 and is looking forward to what this new journey has in store. Being a victim of domestic violence, Anisa is the author of the soon-to-be-released Scarred Wings Still Fly, which is a beautiful title, by the way, an account of her experiences along with tips on how to overcome, written for anyone who is also affected by abuse. She is an active global citizen and is also the founder of Amaya Children's Foundation, a nonprofit organization focused on providing the most important resources to children in need in the form of healthcare, education, shelter, food supplies, etc. Anisa currently lives with her husband and 8-year-old daughter in Orlando, Florida, where she also runs multiple businesses. I'm exhausted saying all of that. How do you do all of that, my friend? So first off, how are you today? How's Florida? How's the weather down there?
Florida's weather is just being Florida's weather. You know, it's beautiful sunshine at the back, thunderstorms in the front of the house. You know, just the usual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's just get right into it because you have so much to say. There's so many places that we can go. There's so many directions that we can go. So I have my questions and we can go into whatever depth that you want to go into, whatever works for you. So you are a mother, entrepreneur, singer, songwriter, and author, and you run a charity organization. What do you do to ground yourself and create balance?
What's balance again? That's something that I think, honestly, it changes, especially now with this whole pandemic. One of the most important things is to be able to be flexible. So what used to be able to ground me and keep me sane before might not be the same now. So as roles change, I think those things have to also change. But music is always one of those things. I write a lot, whether it's writing for my book or songwriting. I used to do a lot of songwriting. That had helped out once. But the thing I noticed that really helps no matter what the time is, what the time of the year, what's going on, is really just like, laughter for me. And it took a long time to understand that we need to take time for ourselves. For years, I just kept trying to, I was just running and running and running and running all the time, trying to accomplish, trying to, wrap this up, trying to finish this, trying to, get this done so I could move on. And I would do the music, I would be doing, writing and all that in between, thinking that that's my escape. But really, sometimes you just need to take a step back and relax and, I don't know, Netflix and chill or something. And but laughter, just family time, just laughing, allowing yourself that time, that's really what did it the most. Even if it was like a half an hour, just sit, have a conversation with my husband or play school with my daughter, and just crack up a little bit, then I can go back to work and you just feel more energized. And I think that's where most of the balance came from, is when I learned how to do that. And that's harder, for some people. It's definitely hard for me to adjust to doing something like that. But
Well, you have a lot going on. I mean, you have, and it's funny, you didn't even mention your businesses. Like, you didn't mention, so you have, so how do you do that, like in a day, for instance? I know that's not, that's elaborating on the same question, but, all your little pieces that you do. So like, tell the viewers, like, some of the things that you work on during your days, because this is really interesting to see just how many pieces you have going on in your life.
So a typical day for me would be, when I get up in the morning, check emails before I get out of bed, on the phone, reply emails, check the text. That's usually where I get a lot of my to-do list input. It's like, oh, got this email, I got to do this. Oh, this came in, I got to do payroll, check the calendar. So I try to, wrap up my to-do list, get up, get her. So I'm also homeschooling our daughter now. So we get breakfast and her desk is right next to mine. She logs into her school, I log into my work, and I think the first couple of hour or two, I would be working on travel agency stuff, with Cruise Gurus. And then I go on to a lot of my work would be Latitude 28 stuff, and it's just a bunch of little tidbits here and there. And so I have to like schedule it out throughout the day. Okay, like this, I'll take care of this business first, and then an hour or two on this business, and then an hour or two on that business. If I remember to take a lunch break, I do. It's usually when my husband comes home for lunch as well. So we would try to have lunch together. And then we just, go again. And after lunch, that's when I like take my break. Like, it's not just, okay, run and eat lunch and then go again. It would, maybe have a conversation with my daughter or with him, or, maybe watch a game show with my mother-in-law, who is now living with us as well. Just to relax, just to not have my brain on high speed all the time. And then go back into the office. And that's when I'm working on all the other stuff. That's usually when afternoons is when I usually have my meetings, any sort of collaborative efforts, anything that I have to do with other people is usually done in the afternoon. I have the morning for myself, in the morning to reschedule if my things if I need to. But then evenings I try to keep as free as possible, like from dinner on. But then my husband goes to sleep, and I usually don't go to sleep as early. So that's also when everyone is asleep. That's also when I have. That's also when I'm very, very much like more productive.
Yeah, I know that.
I'm also directing the show, the Making It with Latitude 28. So I get a lot of that work done there. So as long as I kind of delegate, okay, well, like, you know, this business is going to be taken care of at this time, and this job is going to be done at that time, and that job is going to be done at that time, then it allows me to kind of make sure I'm just getting everything done without feeling so overwhelmed. And on Sundays, I would kind of schedule my week and try not to, things that I know would take a long time. I don't overload those days. I kind of keep most of the day free, put like one big thing and one or two small things. However I schedule that week, I would always leave my Friday open on that to-do list or on that calendar. Not that I ever have a Friday open, but anything that I don't get done, I didn't get to get done Monday through Thursday, then I'm able to reschedule it for Friday. And that has helped a lot, because if I like say, okay, from, you know, morning till night, this is my schedule, Monday to Friday, then, I mean, life doesn't always go the, you know, the way you plan it, especially when you have such a packed schedule. Things do overflow, and then you just lose your mind. And so in order to not do that, just leave your Friday open and just, you know, have all the overflow go on to Friday. So you're still, you know, on a pretty decent schedule.
And really you're busy because the jobs that you have are not really like a Monday through Friday live. They're going to the weekends. Like for instance, right, this Saturday, you guys have a performance this Saturday.
Right. Yeah, we're in Ocala on Saturday. So tomorrow I have a meeting in the morning. And then when I get back, I should have a couple of hours available to get some more work done. But then we have rehearsals tomorrow night. And then Saturday, I try not to do much on Saturday because of our performances Saturday evenings. I really need to rest everything, not just my body, but I need to like not be doing too much crazy thinking or talking much or anything like that. So Saturday mornings is usually just a very calm time for me, even though I am still doing things. I try to take it easy on Saturday mornings.
That's good. That's good. It's good that you recognize that. The fact that you know what works for you and what doesn't work right there, just that awareness is a very big mindfulness practice. And the fact that you know that that's the best way to do it for you.
And that came after years and years of just, you know, trial and error, just tweaking, doing things a certain way for a long time, then realizing it doesn't work, trying something else, you know, trying different schedules out. And you know, you just, because what may work for me may not work for other people and vice versa. So I think it is important to realize if something doesn't work for you, to be able to be flexible. You have to have that flexibility. Right. And that's the only way you'll find, you know, and again, times change as well. Your situations change. So even though that works for me right now, you know, in a couple of months, things may change, schedules may change, or what I'm doing may change. And so it may require me to change my schedule or my system. And, you know, it's always important to be flexible.
Yeah, flexibility is huge. I want to give some quick shout outs because we have a lot of people. So Avi said, hey, and Michelle, hi Michelle. Michelle's always on. Thank you, Michelle, for coming on. And Margarita, my co-host for the morning show, is on. And hi, Katie. Nancy,
hi, Katie.
Hi, Nancy. And Katie wrote my favorite people. She's so cute. And my sister Leanne is on. Hey, Lee. And Shade is on, my dear. Nice to see you. And Ray Sean is on. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. I really appreciate that. So let's go to another question. So you have had trauma in your life. You are a survivor of domestic violence. Would you like to elaborate on that at all for anybody that's been challenged by any of these things?
Oh, that would take a lot longer than 30 to 60 minutes, Lori.
A little bit. A little bit. Because, well, because you're so, you have so much like that you do. You're very confident. You're very, you know, you just do what you need to do. And it's very hard for some people to see that you have been a victim of domestic violence, that you've had traumas in your life. Because sometimes people will play the victim role their whole life, and they will say, this happened to me years ago, and this is why I am the way I am. Mm-hmm. Looking at you, you perform on stage, you're out there in the public. So first off, just share a little bit about that piece, what happened or what you've gone through, and then we're going to talk about how your past has created your present. How has it made you? Instead of breaking you, it's made you. So go ahead.
Yeah. It was an abusive relationship I was in for about 5 years. And I broke out of that, maybe 11 years now, maybe 12. It's been a while. And I was living with him. And so it was a jail. It was a prison. I was really there to just, I guess, take care of his son, who he had custody over. His son was about a year when I met them. And it was, the way most of them started. He was just a very charming guy and like swept me off my feet and everything that a girl could want. And then, so when later on down the line, after he was able to get me away from family, and then get me to trust them, and then value his opinion, then he would start to say things that made me doubt myself, that eventually made me dislike myself. And, it just kind of takes, and I was a very, very strong, very independent woman at that point, working, had my own place in grad school, just doing my own thing. I was in some music at that point. I had just started singing. So I was doing me. And I was one of those women who always said, oh, a man would never hit me. And if a man ever tried to do so and so, then I was one of those. And so I didn't notice that long-term transition between me being, a strong person to not. And it took a long time for that to happen, but then it also took an extra long time for me to recognize that. Yeah. And instead I just believed him. And then at that point, when the abuse started, it starts off as emotional, but then it got to physical. So at that point, by the time I got to physical, I was in a place where I felt like, okay, well, it was my fault. And I caused that because he was so sweet before. So that means I did something wrong for me to get a really sweet, charming guy to do this.
Right.
And he didn't have to.
They reinforce that too. They reinforce it a lot of times. They'll even say that.
Absolutely. Yes.
So mad, I wouldn't do this. If you didn't get me so mad, I wouldn't do this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And because they're so nice and sweet before, you believe that.
Right.
And not right off the bat. Again, there's just a number of things that had to occur for me to believe that as well. Right. But they're very good at doing that.
Oh, gradual manipulation. Yep.
Absolutely. And these are things that I didn't know at that time. It wasn't until long after I got out of it, and I'm researching this stuff for my book, and I'm like, oh my gosh, all of these were red flags. Like, there were tons of red flags, but I didn't know them, to even like, had I known these things, had I known this is a typical characteristic of guys who do this, I probably would have been able to recognize it and come out much sooner and avoid a lot of things. But I didn't. I was young and I was just very naive and I just didn't see what was going on until long after. So it got to that point where the abuse became worse and worse, and it got to later on down the line, I wasn't able to talk to people. I wasn't able to go anywhere by myself. There was a CVS like right down, like at the head of the block, and I wasn't even allowed to go to CVS by myself. And it took a lot of planning for me for me to get out. And even that that point of deciding that this is what I have to do came long after, and after a series of incidents. But there were times where I've tried prior to just leave, where I would tell him, you know, I want to go. I don't want this anymore. I'm done. I got to get back to my place. And it just wouldn't happen. And even worse, like we were living with his parents, and his parents were just as bad. I feel like they were part of the whole thing. And I remember I told his mom once that, you know, your son beats me, and I don't want this anymore, and I want to go back home. And she just kind of chuckled and was like, just behave yourself. Let's go make dinner. And, you know, at that point, like, he had broke my car key, he had broke my phone, I didn't have access to anything. And so I really was a prisoner in that house. Yeah. And when I would say things like that, they would call me, you know, a drama queen and things like that. And so I thought that too. I was like, yeah, maybe I am being overly dramatic, and, you know, and so it would be times like that. And then it would kind of go back and forth with other times where I'm like, you know what, maybe this is what it is, and let me just try to make the best of it. And so there would be times where I would actively try to work on this relationship, and it would just go back and forth. It's like, no, behave. Yeah, you're right. Be a good girl. Make this work. And then, no, what kind of crap is this? You need to get out. And it just went back and forth for a very long time. And then just, you know, so it was after a series of other experiences, I realized I needed to get out. And this was after multiple times of being put in the hospital trying to escape. I realized I had to take some planning, and it took a few months, and it almost went off without a hitch, but I ended up getting out, and that was okay. But the worst part came after. You know, people always think as soon as you get out, then you're good, and you wanted to get out, you're out, you feel liberated, you know, you feel free, and you could, you know, go back to being who you were before, and that's not the case. I think the worst part was after you get out, it's just a completely different frame of mind that you're in, and it's just a lot of psychological, mental, emotional work that you have to do on yourself. And that's what took the longest for me. But,
you have to rebuild yourself, and you also face the fact that there's that element of fear that what if I see him? What if he comes back? What if he finds me? So on top of that, you're basically trying to survive, but then rebuild, and that takes a long time. I find it interesting, and I don't mean it in a fun way. I'm saying, like, I find it interesting how somebody can manipulate another person and do it so rapidly, like pull down somebody's character, everything, and completely a different person in a very short period of time. But the rebuild is so much longer. To get that trauma is so much longer.
Yeah, I was paranoid for many years. I would move out of the state. I moved a lot, and he's on top of being that kind of guy. He's actually also a really good bad con artist.
No, they all.
And so he's got like two awful sides of him, and he's still out there, and we still share a lot of the same acquaintances. So it was really difficult for me to actually escape completely out of his sight. And but I've tried my best. But every time I move somewhere new,
what happened?
I remember this one time I had an apartment in New Jersey. This is a year after I got out of that, and I heard something on the door, like if someone was trying to like rattle the doorknob. And I had a guest over, and I freaked out, and I'm like, oh my God, he's here. He's trying to come in the house. He's trying to come in. And I was so paranoid. And this went on for like 15, 20 minutes where I'm hearing this. So I finally just opened the door, and it was just the Chinese menu on the doorknob. And like, this is how scared I was. It was just the Chinese menu on the doorknob. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking this guy's trying to come in my house. So, and this type of paranoia went on for a very, very long time. It wasn't until, so my husband, I've known him before that relationship. I've known him since I was a teenager. So it's like about, 25 years now. And we started dating about 2 to 3 years after I got out of that relationship. And I was still paranoid at that point. It was, like a good couple of years into that relationship with my husband, where he finally stopped, and we already were living in Florida. And he says, listen, you need to know you've known me for so long. You need to know by now that I got you. There's nothing to worry about. You don't need to be scared. You're home, and home in that sense wasn't like in the house. It was home, you know? And that made a huge difference. And I realized, yeah, you know, you're right. I'm okay. And if he tries to come around again, between my husband and I, we're better equipped, I think, to deal with it, in the sense of, you know, we're grown up now, we're older. We know how to handle things instead of, you know, like run in the corner or hide or just move out of your house and go somewhere else. And just emotionally, I think we're better equipped to handle that. And so it's okay, you know, and once I just kind of like let that go, and I knew that I was okay, and I knew that I was safe, then it just, things just started working out in a way. I don't know if that makes sense. Like sometimes things happen. I guess it's all the law of attraction, right? It's like when you fear it, it'll come.
Yeah.
Right. And so once I started actively trying not to fear it, then gradually he became less of a threat. He's popping up less and things like that. So, but yeah, it's all a process. It's all a long process.
So how has your past created your today, who you are, your present, who you've become? So
I think who I am now is like a souped up version of exactly who I was before him. So I'm still the same person in here. There were things before that, even though I was, you know, strong and independent and all that stuff, I still wasn't exactly who I wanted to be, in the sense that I still, like, I didn't know everything that was possible. I was still a little bit too logical. And I do say too logical. I think that you can be a little too logical. Sometimes you have to let your heart kind of, you know, make decisions for you, because that's the only time, you know, stuff gets done. But I remember thinking a lot about how I felt, thinking about the person I was when I got out of that relationship. And it did help. Won't lie, it wasn't all me. A lot of it was my husband. He also had some crazy experiences in past relationships, and we were kind of in the same place at the same time. But he's just a great person. I mean, I could get into another 30 to 60 minutes on Avi, but he definitely played a huge part in helping me to build my self-esteem up. So it's not that he had to tell me, oh, you're beautiful and you're strong and you're smart and you're this and you're that. And he would do that. And that doesn't really do anything, right? When you're already in that negative place.
That's absolutely right. Unless you have to believe it. Right.
Right. So he would say these things, and that didn't do it for me. What did it for me is the things that, like, he showed me, like when I had something to say, he would remind me, oh, you're really good at that kind of stuff. Like, you should do that. Or a lot of times there are certain things that he would ask me to do, you know, for his business or for his projects. And he's like, you're just good at that stuff. I'm not good at that. And so I started realizing, well, hey, maybe I do have a knack for this, or I can do that. And he would, you know, point out the things that I do. Instead of telling me, hey, you're good at this, and he would just point out, that thing you did, that was great. Or did you see that you did this? And look at all these things that you do. And when I'm so negative, I'm not really looking at the good that I'm doing.
Yeah, of course. Right.
I'm just looking at all the crap that I'm doing, or the things that I'm not doing that I should be doing.
Right.
So I never gave myself the credit, or I never even noticed the good things that I was doing, or you know, the progress that I was making with any project that I took on, or anything like that. And it took someone else to point those out. And then the more those were pointed out, the more I started looking at them myself. And then the more I started looking at myself, like the positive in myself, the more I was like, holy hell, I'm kind of awesome. And it was like, you know, I don't mean to sound conceited, but it's like, that made me feel good. That was like this realization that, okay, I'm not that person that my ex made me think I was.
That's right.
And it was really refreshing. And so I liked feeling that. I liked feeling a little proud of myself. I liked feeling like I could do something. I liked feeling that I was of value and that I was worth something. And I went through a good couple of years of trying to go deeper into that, right? Dive deeper into myself and find out what my worth is. And there's a picture that I have, and the picture, I did a photo shoot for, I think that was for my album actually. And the picture just looks like such a strong, like fierce woman. I'm like, that's not how I saw myself, right? And I'm looking at the picture and I was like, huh. And so I took it made me feel something, and I didn't know what it made me feel. And that's the time that I was really trying to figure out what my worth is, and trying to, you know, motivate myself rather than to have other people motivate me. And so I took the words, know your worth, and I stamped it right on top of that picture, and that became my profile picture. So every time, because I was on Facebook and Instagram all the time for work at that point, so every time I went on social media, I would see that picture, and it was my reminder to me, know your worth. And I went through like a good 2 years of, you know, building that up within myself. And the more I did that, the more I loved and appreciated that feeling that I had compared to the other time in my life where I just got out of that crappy relationship. And eventually got to the point where it's like, well, I never want to be that person again.
Yeah.
I like this feeling. And so that's kind of like what it is all the time now. It's like, okay, well, I know I can do this now. So now I'm taking on a bunch of projects because I know I can do them, even though, you know, I might not accomplish them in the time that I want to accomplish them, or certain things are taking longer than I want to, but I know I can do it. So the time, the delay, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't discourage me anymore. But this is talking about, you know, 5 to 10 years of working on different aspects of me for me to have gotten from then to who I am now.
Right.
But it's fine. It's a fun journey.
I love when you said that, you know, you like the way this feels.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like, sometimes we don't allow that within ourselves,
Right.
to say, you know, hey, I like me. Hey, or I love me. And you had said it sounds a little conceited, and we always feel the need to put these little disclaimers in front.
Yeah.
If we want to say something really great about ourselves, and we say, hey, you know what, I'm really good at this, and I'm really good at that. And then we put that disclaimer, oh, I don't want to sound, you know, I don't mean to sound conceited. And it's like, it's terrible, because that's the way society views it if you're speaking about yourself. And it's terrible. We should have the right to be empowered by ourselves. We're not saying, listen, I'm really good at this, you suck at that, but I'm really good at it. That's not what we're saying. We're saying, like, hey, listen, I'm acknowledging this because I didn't think I was. And you know, the way I feel today feels so much better than I did back then. And the past, and it is what it is. So what can I take from there? Okay, I know not to feel that way again. How do I not feel it? Get myself into that situation. Right. You know? So
yeah, and it's only been like two years or so that I've gotten to that point. Like, it's really been a long journey. but I feel like it is important for people to get there, because that's where the good stuff happens.
Yeah.
Is once you get there. You don't allow anything else to work. You don't allow yourself to go get anything if you don't feel that. So much, like, you would do the things that you think you're supposed to do. Like, I have to go and get this degree, or I have to go and pursue this career, or get this job, and and I know I can do it, and that's it. But what about everything else? No one person is just their career, or is just their job, or is just their education. There's so much more to everyone. There's so many things you like. There's so many passions, and those are the things that you don't allow yourself to pursue unless you feel that positive vibe for yourself so I guess invest that time, or invest that energy into yourself. That's kind of how I saw it. It's like, it doesn't make sense to try to pursue that because I'm not good at that, or I'm not going to succeed.
Or I'm not passionate, right? I'm not passionate about it.
Right. Or there were times where I was passionate about things. I just didn't think I was good enough to get it. And so I never invested the time or energy into it. Now I got and it's not that I feel like I'm awesome at everything or anything like that, but I know that at this point, if I put the energy into it, then it can actually work. And so and I love myself enough to invest that time and energy into seeing if it'll work. And that's the difference. That wasn't there before.
Because you're capable, and you're capable now because you've discovered that about yourself. You passed that point where someone was telling you you're incapable and you need me and you don't know anything and I'm going to control you. And you decided, you know what, that's all a lie. That's not true. That's not true at all. And then you looked at and you said something that was so really, really insightful about you have to keep going to get to that point. So if you stop along the way before you reach that point of, I like to look at it as like it's this point of peace. Like you're peaceful within yourself.
Yes.
You may not have everything that you want yet. You may have a lot still on your plate, but the one thing that you're okay with is who you are, and you're at peace with that. And so that no matter what, you're going to finish anything that you started or pursue something else, but you're okay with who you are.
Yeah, there was a really good conversation I had. I'm gonna shout out Katie right now. Katie Metal. Really good conversation I had with Katie, and she said something. It was just one line, but it was just such a impactful line. I think. I don't know if it's the exact word. She said something like, you were strong enough to get out, so you're strong enough to keep going.
Yes.
And it's like, damn, because a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of women who get out of these abusive relationships don't see that.
Yes.
And so, and that's the thing I keep going back to. It's like, no, but you got out. Do you know how many women don't get out? I nearly did not get out. So if you got out, that says something. That's a lot of strength right there. Right. That's a lot of something good. So if you had the strength to get out, then you do have the strength to keep going, not just stay there in that negativity and that, really awful frame of mind and think that you're nothing or think that you're less than what you actually are. And so that when Katie said that, I oh my God, that was so impactful. Something simple like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's such a big thing that I think all women need to hear, especially women who've been in that situation.
I agree. I want to give a couple more shout outs too. So Greg is on. Hi, Greg.
Hello, Greggy.
And Anna, my cousin Anna is on. Hi, Anna. And Katie said, you are the best. Love you. That's what she said. She's so cute.
Yeah.
So you chose for tonight's conversation the title, The Irony of Being Superwoman. Share with everyone what you mean by this. And can we redefine the idea of being a superwoman if we learn to create balance and have healthy boundaries? So what's the irony of being a superwoman? What is a superwoman?
So this is the reason I chose that, is because it's something that, again, I learned fairly recently, and a lot of that has to do with you. I think I learned that since I started coaching with you. So I appreciate that. I remember our first couple sessions, I was just a hot mess. I'm like, hey, I'm happy, but I had a lot of crap going on, and I just didn't know how to get any ducks in a row. And it was because I really was trying to be some sort of superwoman, trying to juggle 50 million and one things at the same time. And I never felt accomplished. I was working nonstop. And our business, it's, we don't work 9 to 5. We work, when we open our eyes to when we close our eyes, and which is okay. I mean, as long as you're having fun and you're getting somewhere. And I didn't feel like I was having fun and getting anywhere, but I was still doing what I wanted to do. And so I didn't understand that. It's like, okay, well, you had asked me, well, what is it that you really want to do? Well, this is what I really want to do. But then I'm like, but I'm not excited, and I'm not happy, and I'm not achieving anything. And it just kept going and going and going and going without seeing any sort of progress. And it wasn't until long after, mainly through working with you, that I got to that place where I realized I can't take care of that business and this business and the other one, and the foundation and the band and this and this and this and this and the home and being a wife and being a mom and all that stuff if I don't take care of myself. I put everything else in front of that. I would go without having lunch because I had no time for lunch. Dinner was like super late, skipped breakfast most times, because I needed to take care of this. This person's waiting on this, and I need to get this done. And I really want to do this for Amaya. I really want to do this for the band, and I want to do this for Abby. But those were priorities, because I love and I want to do things, but I also want to do things for my clients. And so everything else was priority above me, because I felt like they were more important than I was. And it wasn't that clear to me. I mean, I wouldn't have said that they're more important than I am and that I'm not important, but my actions were showing that.
That's right. Yeah.
And I wanted this necklace, I swear, the necklace made such a huge difference. I remember one of the sessions that you and I had, it was, I had gotten, Avi wanted this piece of jewelry for, I think I got it for him for his birthday or something. And it was kind of expensive. And we were talking, and then it was like, well, would you have done that for yourself? I'm like, I would never spend that kind of money on myself. I would do that for Amaya. I would do it for Avi. I would do it for the band. Well, I wouldn't want to pay that kind of money for myself. And I was like, but why? And then you didn't, and then you said, we were talking about how much I love people, and you just kind of made this comment, well, you should just walk around with a necklace that says love, but but you have to love yourself. And Mother's Day, I think, was coming up. No, Valentine's was coming up. And I told Avi, I said, I need to go to the mall before Valentine's. And he's like, but you got me a Valentine's gift already. I said, I know. I gotta get something for me. So I went to the jewelry store, and I found the necklace that says love, and I was very picky with it, and I got one that I absolutely love. And I spent more on it than I did on Avi's gift. And it was the first time I ever bought something for myself that cost like that kind of money. And I felt guilty at first. It was scary, but I pushed through because I knew it could open other things. And it did. It opened up a lot of things that it shouldn't have. I started shopping for myself left, right, and center for like 2 weeks. I'm like, I could buy me this. I deserve to buy me this. And I got it. But after I went on that shopping spree for like 1 to 2 weeks, I'm like, okay, you got to stop spending now. Yeah. But I got it. Yeah. I understood. I'm like, okay, it feels good to love yourself. And then that was just, the small stuff. But then after that, yeah, I started loving myself enough to make sure I eat breakfast. Like, clients are going to be there. I'll get to the clients in like, 15, 20 minutes. Let me have my breakfast. Let me have my moment. And then I take my lunch break, and I we'll come back to that. I started telling people, hey, I'll get to it right away. I will get this for you, but just give me an hour. But I really started taking care of myself. And those 15, 20-minute breaks, half an hour lunch breaks, making sure I whether I'm done or not, to be done in the office no later than like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, then I have the rest of the evening to spend with my family, being able to laugh with them and play games with them, being okay not working until 4 a.m. and going to bed at 12 or 1 and getting more sleep. All those things used to make me feel guilty because I felt like I was wasting my time, and things needed to be done, and I'm not doing them. And then now it feels completely different. And so the irony, I think, of being Superwoman is, when you're trying to do so much and you're trying to accomplish a lot and you're trying to take care of everyone and everything else, the way to be Superwoman, I've learned, is to take care of yourself first.
Yes.
And to love yourself just as much as you love everything else and everyone else. And I have honestly been 10 times as much productive, like 10 times more productive this way. And I've been happier and calmer. And I don't remember when was the last time I got frustrated at anything. And it's just so much more productive, and I'm getting so much more done.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, this is how you do it.
Working smarter, not smarter. Yes, working smarter, not harder. It was the other way. It would work harder, not smarter, and now we've learned to work smarter, not harder. And
right.
And it's because, oh my God, I spit all over the place. That's just lovely. It's because, we, as women especially, like we have this idea that we have to do it all, and we have to do it perfectly. And not realizing that if you just slow it down and you prioritize, everybody will get what they need. The nice thing is you teach people how to work with you when you do that. Like your kids, your family members, your friends, your business people, because your clients, because you'll say to them, like if you have clients calling you all the time and like wanting to be able to connect with you at any hour, but then if you finally say, oh, listen, it just lets you know that I'm not available between these hours, they may gripe about it, but at some point they'll be like, okay, they'll just accept it. And then you think to yourself, why didn't I say that like 2 years ago, instead of people like calling me and emailing me at all hours, and you just say, this is my free time. The family, friends, they're usually the ones that give you the most gripe, because they're like, well, but you're always around, especially when you work from home. There's boundaries are harder. But again, if you're just really clear about it and you say, this is how, between this time and this time, I can't do anything for you. Between this time and this time, I can. But it makes you to feel so good about yourself to finally say, okay, listen, I could say no to you. And I could say that we'll do it this way. I'm still helping you, but helping you, and I'm the one in control. So I'm not burning myself out.
Yeah, I remember with Avi. Avi's worse than I am. Like, he is on high speed all the time, and he does probably more than I do. I don't know. Yeah, he does a lot, because he's also running, multiple businesses, but his mind is always going. He's leveling up on a daily basis, right? And so I don't think anyone can keep up with him. And I used to try. And, if he needs something, if he asks me for something, it's only because he needs it like ASAP, and he can't do it because he's doing something else, or because he can't do it himself and he needs me to get something done in order for him to finish what he's doing. And so anytime he's asked me for something, I most of the time would drop what I'm doing and be like, okay, I know you need this right now, let me get to it. And so it would interrupt a lot of things that I was doing. And so when I started learning how to manage, myself and my own stuff that I have going on, I told him once, he's like, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you do so-and-so? And I'm like, yeah, I can't get to it today, but I could probably do it tomorrow. And that was the first time I ever said, no, I can't do something right now. And I would never forget the look on his face. He's like, huh? And I'm like, yeah, I can't do it right now. I'll get to it tomorrow. And he was like, okay. And it was like the weirdest thing for him. He's like, oh, okay. And then I managed to get it done that afternoon. But it was like, it caught him off guard because I never used to do that before. And because I started doing that, I became more productive. Because when you're always like trying to do everything, you spread yourself too thin. And that was my problem.
Oh,
I was spreading myself way too thin. So I would start something and then this came up and I have to go and do this. So I would leave that alone. And then this came up and nothing was ever getting done. And so when I'm like, okay, listen, no. Finish this. Okay. Get to this. Gotcha. This one, there you go. I'm done with that one. And then we move on. And in a sense, I wasn't going as fast as I felt like I was before. But still, I'm getting more done. So I'm like, oh, well, that's a win-win.
And that is the irony.
Yeah. So the irony is to not be running and doing everything at the same time and, you know, and all of that, not just going. The irony is to just relax. Because there's three types of people that I've noticed in kind of looking at this is type A. I used to be, we're just, you know, that same, you know, go all the time and just keep going and eventually you crash and burn. But this is after just constant going, right? No sleep, no food, no whatever. And that's what happens. You crash and you burn, right? And then type B, which was also me at some point, was you start strong. You know, you have this thing that you want to do and you're all excited about it and you start and you go full force, and then what ends up happening is that you just gradual, yeah. And then what that does, it just kind of it demotivates you. And you don't have it, you don't feel as motivated as you did at the beginning of that project. Or you just lose interest because you're not seeing it go anywhere. And at the beginning you saw that it could have gone somewhere, but then it's like, yeah, no. So it's just very discouraging and very demotivating. And so that's that type. And then you have another type, which was also me at some other point, type C, is those people who want to, who have the intention to do something, who have an idea. I want to start this project, or I want to do this, or I want to do it, but they don't have the motivation to start it, or they don't believe they have the resources to start it, or the knowledge of how to start it. And so, and that still demotivates you and discourages you. So I think that for all three of those types, it's just, if you kind of take that step back and just say, okay, one, I'm absolutely worth pursuing something that I love. I'm absolutely worth taking on this project because it's what I want to do. Loving yourself enough to grant yourself that time and that energy to do it. And then going through with it, not in a Superwoman attempt, and then you'll succeed in a Superwoman style.
Yes.
It's like you can't try. It'll, if you don't try, it'll be.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So those, yeah. But I see that happen all the time. But yeah, but that I feel is the irony. Is like, you know, people, and there are all those types of people. They you know, they want to accomplish all this stuff, and you just have to love yourself, take care of yourself first before. I think I learned that the hard way. People always say that, right? You know, you have to love yourself before you can love others. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, you know, but I genuinely love people. But no, now I get it. Now I get it. And it really is true.
And a lot of people do learn it the hard way. Like they have to experience it first and say, okay, that's not going to work for me. I can't sustain this anymore. And if I'm going to keep doing the things that I'm doing, and I want to, I have to take a different approach. And they finally say, okay, it's okay to take that approach, and they give themselves permission. So
Right.
you are, I want to thank you for coming on tonight. You're very inspirational, you know, having gone through what you've gone through, and then just, you know, you're a great mom, and, you know, you lead your tribe with, you know, such grace and love. So yes, our conversation on you are love. It's not that you are loving, you are love, because you are a very loving individual, and especially coming from you know, an environment where you didn't love yourself and you felt so not, you know, not even human sometimes, you know,
Right.
to be able to freely just let yourself love people and just trust in that process is beautiful. And that really shows that you've let go and you have moved on, you've moved past, which is, again, very inspirational for a lot of people. And I really thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for allowing me. And I think that's the one thing, you know, if there's anyone who's listening, I think, you know, I mean, that's really the most important, is to know that you have to give yourself that much. I mean, like Katie said, you know, you're strong enough to come out, you're strong enough to keep going. Know that about yourself. Find that thing, you know, and if that doesn't make you love yourself, then, you know, there's a bunch of other things, but those things, we've all gone through some sort of crap. And we're still here. I mean, if you're listening to this conversation, if you're watching it, or at any point, you're still here, obviously, and that means something.
That's right.
And you have to use that and find that thing, and really, if that doesn't make you love yourself, then you just have to take classes with Lori. That's it, you know.
I didn't tell her to say that.
I know.
And where can people find you? So how can we find you?
On all social media, I like friends, so, you know, friend me, follow me, all that stuff. It's Anisa Official Music. So it's at Anisa Official Music on Facebook, and the same thing on Instagram. Or you can just check out anisaofficialmusic.com for all of that information, all of those links. But definitely, you know, I would like to hear anyone else's stories and talk about stuff. And like I said, I like friends. So you know, keep in touch.
And she's such a lovely friend. She's such a wonderful person. And you could also find her on Latitude 28.
Yes, Latitude 28. Absolutely. I'm one of the singers for Latitude 28, and there's a lot going on that page. And my pages don't really have much going on, because the party's at Latitude 28 band on all social media. That's where everybody is.
That's correct.
But it's at Latitude 28 band across everything: website, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, all of that. And they're much more entertaining than just me. Oh, wait, and tomorrow, if I can plug tomorrow, so our season premiere of our show just aired on Tuesday, so that is up to go check out. And then episode 2 airs tomorrow on Facebook at Latitude 28 Band. I think that's a great show. It's not only about music, but it's about our struggles. It's about our stories, and the whole thing of the show is, I mean, it's called Making It with Latitude 28, and it shows our struggles as a band, but also our struggles as individuals as well, and how we overcome and how we get through that. So it's a fun show, but I think it can also be educational, motivational, inspirational as well. So check that out.
Yes, check it out. It is on their Facebook channel, and I believe YouTube, right? It's probably simultaneous.
Yes, it's on the Latitude 28 Band YouTube as well.
Yep, great. Well, thank you, my dear, for coming on. I really adored having you on. You know I love you.
Same here. Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And I just want to do quick shout outs. Savina, Michelle said, thank you so much. Anisa is pretty too. That's what Savina said.
Thank you, Savina.
Carol's on. And thank you so much, everybody, for coming on. And everybody have a great weekend. And I will see you next week on the show.
Absolutely.
And
take care. Thank you. Good night.
Okay, that was really good. You did great.